Here we have a quadratic and it's in general form, ax squared plus bx plus c. But what we want to do is we want to change it into standard form, which is sometimes called vertex form because it gives us the vertex. And it looks like this. Y is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. The vertex is going to be our h comma k values. Note that this is a minus h in the formula, but the x-coordinate for the vertex is a positive value. So that causes some confusion, so just bear that in mind. Now here what we want to do is we want to make this a perfect square trinomial. If you notice in the formula for standard form, it's this binomial squared. A binomial squared is the factored form of a perfect square trinomial. So what we want to do is we want to factor out the coefficient for this x squared because 3 is not a perfect squared. So what we want to do is we want to make that first term a perfect square. So if we factor out the 3, we're left with an x squared. That's a perfect square. We're also going to factor out that 3 from the middle term as well, but then we're going to close the parentheses and leave the last term alone. We're going to have this plus 6 on the outside, aside from everything. Now, to make this a trinomial, we need to add an additional term. We need to add a third term. But we just can't add a number to an equation or a function. So what we want to do is we also want to subtract the same value. So what we do to find out what we're going to add and subtract is we take this middle number, which we call the b value, we divide it by 2, and then we square it. So negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, and then we square it to get 4. So we added 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract that value, but we're not going to subtract 4, because if I were to distribute this 3 back in, technically I just added 3 times 4. So I'm going to subtract 3 times 4 as well. And now what I do is, because this is a perfect square trinomial, and I know it is because I did this b divided by 2 squared trick, what I do now is I can factor this. So to factor a perfect square trinomial, we take the square root of the first term, which in this case is x, the sine of the middle term, which is a minus, and the square root of the last term, which is a 2, and that's a binomial squared. And then we just combine the like terms on the end. So we have a plus 6 minus 12. That's going to give us a minus 6. So now we have this function in standard form, and we can find the vertex. The vertex, again, if this is x minus h, and now it's x minus 2, we're going to have this as 2, comma, negative 6, the value on the end. And this is, again, the vertex.